and provides live coverage from the World Cup 2022 draw today at 4:45. Now putting a stop to crime on BBC One.
All around us, in every part of the UK, are skilled teams of eagle-eyed men and women, working alongside the police to keep us safe. They're the people on the front line, tackling the hazards that place us in danger.
This is not something we want anyone at all to ever experience.
They're cracking down on those who threaten our families.
These people prey on vulnerable people. They're just the lowest of the low.
They're protecting us on the streets and in our homes.
With telephone calls now, I don't answer it. That's how scared I am.
These men and women make up the UK's enforcement teams, our defenders. Today,
it's been a great day today.
our defenders hunt down the cruel conmen who mock their victims.
To laugh about the fact that you've taken money from somebody who's 89 and suffers from Alzheimer's, she's abhorrent, really, to most members of society, I think.
And they confront a second-hand car dealer who specialises in fake service histories.
It's not just the fact that we bought a duff car, it's the fact that actually it's affected a lot of families.
Hi guys, we're in a position to make another video today.
These fraudsters systematically targeted the elderly and the vulnerable, conning them out of thousands of pounds and leaving them devastated.
With telephone calls now, I just put the phone down or don't answer it. That's how scared I am.
Heather Allen has lived here in Huddersfield, West Yorkshire, her whole life.
Born and bred in Huddersfield. I live in a two-bedroom, semi-detached, in a nice, quiet area of Far Town.
Heather bought her home 30 years ago and has stayed put. Living on her own, it's important to Heather that she feels safe and secure.
I'm quite happy living here all these years. It's quite a nice community.
Heather worked as a nurse. She spent several years on the maternity ward at Huddersfield Royal Infirmary.
I started working for the NHS in 1980. I've basically worked since I was 16, so I thought, well, now's the time for me to enjoy life a little bit, a little bit more,
But Heather's well-earned retirement plans were about to be shattered.
It really affects my confidence into letting people into my house. I just think that they've got no heart.
In June 2015, Heather got a call out of the blue, offering her a free home visit to check how secure her home was.
They didn't tell me the price or anything over the phone. They said they'll get somebody to come and see me and there'll be no obligation. Yes.
Heather was reluctant, but the caller wouldn't take no for an answer.
I did ask them if they can send me the brochure for me to have a look, and they said, well, no, because somebody will come round. I think they played on my kind nature.
2 days later, Heather was visited by a sales rep from a company called Bespoke Home Security Limited. He started by telling Heather crime in her area, burglaries in particular, were on the increase.
He got this graph and he showed me all these crime rates. I thought all this information that he got was information from the police or from the council. It just seems really, really real, the percentage of crime in my area.
But some of the figures weren't real. They were fake.
I just took it on myself that this information that you got must be, true. I felt a bit scared.
Alison Farah is a lead officer for trading standards in Wales and works closely with the National Trading Standards Scams team.
I think it's terrible when people use people's fear of crime. If there have been instances in the area, some crime, some antisocial behaviour, something happened up the road, I can understand how people would feel slightly more vulnerable than usual. But those people who take advantage of that and who use that just to make a profit for themselves, well, that's a terrible thing to do. That's awful. That's not how you should be treating people. I think it's horrible.
The salesman told Heather she needed to invest in a high-tech home security system.
Even though I wanted to say, well, I'm not interested, it made me feel that I should. I felt if I didn't buy these cameras, my house wouldn't have been safe. I was just sort of like thinking, well, yeah, I'm not here all the time. Maybe I should get these cameras. Maybe I should make my home feel safe.
The sales rep drew up a contract, complete with sketches to show where the cameras would be fitted.
He said that I will need 3 cameras, one at the front, one at the side and one at the back.
After a 2-hour sales pitch, reluctantly, Heather agreed to sign up.
I said, yeah. I feel embarrassing when I said that, actually. Just made me upset.
The total cost for 3 cameras was £3,500.
How can somebody, you know, walk into my house and think that they can get me to sign up for all this? It's really heartbreaking.
Heather couldn't afford to pay for the cameras up front, so the salesman also arranged a loan in her name. He told her it was interest-free, but that was a lie.
When I signed up, I thought, what have I done?
A few days later, 3 men turned up to fit the cameras.
To me at the time, we were a bit shifty, and that sort of made me think, hang on, there's something not quite right here. All I saw were these 3 cameras in a box, all floating around in this big box. And I said to him, what's that? I said, I hope that's not my camera, what you're going to put up. To me, it did not look new at all. I was thinking, that does not worth £3,500.
Nowadays, a modern cable-free camera system would normally cost just a few £100s.
All this has been wired all through under the floorboards. It's just left like this.
Despite all the cables, Heather still can't monitor the cameras on her TV and says she has no idea if they even work.
There's quite a few loose bits here which is not attached to anything whatsoever, so I don't really know where these go. That's just dropped off here. It's not what I asked for. I think they've just done a cheap job, and I wasn't expecting it to be like this at all. I was expecting it to be cable-free.
It's always important that people who think they've been ripped off in some way to gather as much evidence as possible and report it to Trading Standards. If we don't know about it, we can't do anything about it. Come to us for advice and come to us to see if we can help you sort this out.
Heather was distraught, but she wasn't alone. Several people had made similar complaints, and an investigation was already underway.
Our role is to defend vulnerable adults. In the main, it's elderly residents who are particularly targeted by these particular type of fraudsters.
John Field is a criminal investigator with the West Yorkshire Financial Exploitation and Abuse Team. John is our defender.
The complaints initially started in terms of security systems, particularly camera systems that consumers were being signed up for, which seemed to us to be particularly expensive and perhaps unnecessary in terms of the surroundings that they were being sold.
Many of the complainants lived in relatively low crime areas.
People were saying that they'd been misled into taking these on, that they were being told various facts about crime rates in their areas that seemed to us to be aimed at scaring these individuals. That was a major cause of concern to us.
John and his team took dozens of statements. All of them suggested the sales reps were using scare tactics.
For example, a salesman would be saying to people that the crime rates there were particularly high, that violent crime was prevalent, that burglary would take place in 60% of cases where people were in the property, and that violence would be used in 70% of those cases against the householder, which was particularly scary for elderly people and totally incorrect.
In each case, the sales reps showed residents official-looking graphs and reports to back up what they were saying. But many of the figures they were using were fake.
Salesmen seemed to be saying anything to these individuals to scare them into buying these products.
And in the cases John investigated, these dishonest sales tactics were working.
They were shocked and scared, essentially. A lot of them had been living in their homes quite happily, quite peacefully for many years. And then all of a sudden, they get a phone call out of the blue. Somebody turns up at their home and says that your house is insecure, you're at risk of burglary, there's lots of violent crime in this area, lots of drug taking place. You need to do something about this very quickly. The impact on particularly elderly people is that they were somewhat shell-shocked by this, and they were parting with large amounts of money for things that they didn't really need.
Elderly residents and people living on their own were being deliberately targeted.
By looking at people who are more elderly, in many ways it's a different generation of people who are more trusting, who are more believing of people, and believe that people will be honest, decent people like they are themselves, and that makes them more susceptible to criminals of this type.
Later.
It's been a great day today in DN2.
Laughing and joking, the home security con men mocking their victims.
To laugh about the fact that you've taken money from somebody who's 89 or suffers from Alzheimer's, it's abhorrent, really, to most members of society, I think.
Like many young families, Michelle and Rob Green have got their hands full.
We've got two little boys. They're 3 and 2. It's only 12 months between them, so it's busy. It is really busy.
Rob's studying to be an osteopath, so for now, Michelle's the sole breadwinner.
I used to be a teacher. I now tutor in the afternoons and the evenings, but obviously because we work back to back, he studies the mornings, I study the evenings. We're busy. We are busy. We don't get to spend a huge amount of time together.
The last thing these young parents would ever wish to do is put their family in danger. But that's exactly what happened when they were conned into buying a dangerously unsafe car.
It doesn't bear thinking about, does it really? Especially when kind of small babies and pregnant women and things are involved.
Back when Michelle was pregnant with their second child, they decided to trade in their tiny Nissan Micra for a family car.
I had a 3-month-old baby and was expecting another baby. We needed to upgrade from our little Micra to a bigger car to accommodate kind of a double buggy and 2 children and all the paraphernalia that they come with.
Michelle and Rob started searching online for a family car within their budget.
We were just looking for something that was going to be reliable and I guess cheap. We didn't have an awful lot of money. It was literally the last of our savings. We couldn't commit to any sort of monthly payment, so the idea of sort of a new car or even one of the approved used cars was kind of completely out of the question for us. When you've got 2 little babies, you can't really be fussy with what you have, so you need to look for the best you can with the small amount of money you have. I found a RAV4 online.
Eventually, they spotted a blue Toyota RAV4 being sold by local car dealers Maxus Automotive in Bracknell, Berkshire. At £1,995, it seemed perfect.
It was blue and it was a RAV4. I'd wanted a RAV4 since I was a child. It did look really good, actually. It was a tidy car, full service history.
Before going to see it, Michelle and Rob also checked online to make sure the car had a full MOT.
The MOT was complete, no advisories. So we thought, brilliant, no brake pads need doing, no tyres need doing. It doesn't need any of the niggly bits as well. We were really lucky. It was completely clear.
Michelle and Rob arranged to go and give it a test drive. They were met by car dealer Carl Wareham.
He had a little look over our Micra while my husband took the RAV4 on a test drive. I thought he seemed quite friendly, but I guess all salesmen are friendly, aren't they? That's their job. In hindsight, that's probably part of the charm, isn't it? You like a salesman and then you trust them. And
to clinch the deal, Wareham threw in a free warranty worth £200.
obviously, when you take a gamble with an older car, a free warranty is quite appealing because you know something could go wrong with an old car quite quickly and quite easily. So that was kind of another little sweetener for the deal.
What Michelle and Rob didn't know was that the car they'd bought was unroadworthy and the warranty worthless. Nor did they know that Carl Wareham, the dealer they'd bought the car from, was being investigated for fraud. Bracknell Forest Trading Standards Officer Rob Charlton is our defender. Rob had previously come across Carl Wareham back in 2015.
We had cause to visit him on occasions. I did personally and another colleague did personally, because we'd had complaints that he wasn't refunding consumers as he should have been. We gave him advice of the Consumer Rights Act, which, to be fair, at that time was a fairly new piece of legislation and most people were getting their head around it, certainly most second-hand car dealers were.
Ron Ruddock is the Trading Standards Manager at Leicester City Council. Ron has been in consumer protection enforcement for 20 years.
When a consumer goes to buy a car, they're entitled to a car that is of satisfactory quality, fit for its purpose, and in the condition as it's been described. They're the three key elements that are implied into every contract for the sale of a second-hand car.
In simple terms, car breaks down, the consumer takes it back, says, I want a refund, they're entitled to that refund.
The refunds were eventually made. Then, in summer 2017, Rob received 2 more complaints about Carl Wareham, the same dealer.
And it was again similar type complaints. I've purchased a car from this guy, within a week it's gone wrong, or I've had it 2 or 3 weeks and it keeps going wrong. I want my money back.
One of the cars, a BMW, had a full service history.
So the first service book we've got here is the service book that really initiated the investigation.
At first glance, it appeared genuine, but on closer examination, it wasn't quite what it seemed.
When I went through the service book, some of the services just didn't seem to add up. Some of them had been not stamped and had just been written in. 1 or 2 of the companies I looked at just didn't seem to be genuine companies. In fact, when I came back to the office, I did a quick Google check on one of them. It didn't seem to be in existence anymore.
The BMW also had a warranty, which was supposed to cover the cost of repairs. But when Rob checked, it hadn't been validated and was worthless. These 2 documents, the fake service book and the warranty, gave Rob serious cause for concern.
I went to the magistrates' court and asked for them to authorise a warrant, an entry warrant, for us to gain entry to the site so that we could carry out a full search.
The warrant was granted. They could now conduct a full search of Carl Wareham's office and forecourt.
It was a team of us that went down there. We also asked 2 qualified RAC inspectors, 2 experts, to come on the warrant with us.
On the forecourt, the inspectors examined 13 vehicles. Most had faults, but more than half of them were unsafe to drive.
They were quite seriously unroadworthy. They should never have been, even with a price tag in them or advertised for sale in any way. That's an offence straight off.
In the office, Rob seized paperwork, including more than 100 warranties for vehicles that he'd recently sold. None of these warranties were valid. Rob also seized 4 service stamps found in the office. The stamps were being used to create fake service histories and to con prospective buyers into paying more than the cars were really worth.
He's forging service books here, and he's selling vehicles with what would appear to be fully stamped or almost fully stamped service histories, when in fact he's stamping them himself with these stamps that we've just found in his office.
There are some buyers that wouldn't touch a car that didn't have a service history, because that service history is their peace of mind that the car's been looked after and is unlikely to cause them major issues going forward. Creating a service history, adding stamps to a service book when a genuine service hasn't been carried out, is effectively as if it's a fraud. It's a fraud.
Among those contacted by our defenders were Michelle and Rob Green. Their Toyota RAV4 had already started to develop faults when they got a call out of the blue.
Actually, do you know what? It just felt like the penny dropped. It all just fitted in, really. We knew that there were some issues with the car. We knew that we needed to get the exhaust replaced, but the phone call that we had kind of made us sit up and think, right, okay, is this car actually unsafe? Do we need to go and get it checked? What actions do we need to take to make sure that we are going to be okay? And how are we going to get ourselves out of this mess as well?
Once she'd realised they'd been conned, Michelle took the Toyota for safety checks, and her worst fears were confirmed.
They said, you need to get some work done very urgently. They strongly advised us not to drive the car anymore. It doesn't bear thinking about, does it really? Especially when kind of small babies and pregnant women and things are involved.
Second-hand car dealer Carl Wareham was found guilty of 15 counts of fraud and 2 offences relating to the supply of unsafe vehicles. He was given a suspended 21-month prison sentence.
Well, I tell you what, I think we finished it.
As far as Michelle's concerned, she'll always be grateful for the tireless work of our defenders.
I guess in some ways that initial phone call that Rob Charlton made, that day changed my behaviour. I was due to go out with the children, and that morning he rang me. I cancelled my plans. I didn't drive that car again, apart from to the garage, after Rob Charlton rang me. It's kind of nice to know that without realising it out there, somebody is looking out for you.
We saw earlier how Heather Allen was targeted by conmen and tricked into taking out an expensive loan to have security cameras installed.
How can somebody walk into my house and think that they can get me to sign up for all this? It's really heartbreaking.
By now, there'd been dozens of complaints about Bespoke Home Security Limited. John Field is our defender.
Once we had statements from the victims, that enabled us then to go to a magistrate's court to apply for warrants for various addresses, in particular the business addresses, to see what other evidence would be available there that could assist us with our inquiries.
The search warrants were granted, and in September 2016, the call centre, along with 3 other addresses, were raided in a joint operation with West Yorkshire Police. Paperwork was seized, including lists of potential victims.
Written against quite a lot of these people were very derogatory comments. abusive comments about what they thought about that particular individual who they'd rung up. It showed the mentality of the people and the ethics of the businesses in terms of the way they were operating.
A picture began to emerge of a lucrative and sophisticated fraud.
It was an indication really of what their aim was, which was just to get a foot in the door and then to try and get money from these people who they had no respect for and no empathy with.
5 suspects were identified.
Hi guys, we're in a position to make another video today.
The 5 men shared messages and videos, laughing and joking with each other.
A great day today in DN2.
In one message, they joked about their ideal target.
To laugh about the fact that you've taken money from somebody who's 89 or suffers from Alzheimer's or something of that nature, it's unthinkable for most individuals, isn't it? But this to them is an ideal target. It's somebody who is vulnerable, somebody who is likely to part with money, and someone who may not then complain about it, who hasn't realised that they've paid a fortune for things that they either didn't need or are vastly overpriced.
There's no respect there, but we know that. We know there's no respect for the victims. A genuine, honest trader would never dream of calling their customers something like that. And it just goes to show these people don't care about other people, they only care about themselves.
In March 2020, 2 brothers, Mansha Abbas and Zulfka Abbas, 2 other men, Nazar Munir and Imran Shan, and a 5th man we can't name for legal reasons, were jailed for between 3 and 9 years for conspiracy to defraud.
Why should somebody come into your house and then all of a sudden make you sign up for things that you don't really want? With telephone calls now, I just put the phone down or don't answer it. That's how scared I am. I just think that they've got no heart.
It's good to see that people who will target elderly people and do it remorselessly and laugh about their actual actions get a penalty that will impact on them, but will also send a message out to other individuals who might think of committing these offences that perhaps this is not the way to go.
Across the UK, our defenders are protecting our homes and our communities, keeping our families safe from harm, and looking out for us in all that we do.
It's good to know that there are people like the people I work with, my colleagues, that are out there helping protect everybody. We don't wear a uniform and we don't have flashing lights, but what we do have is hundreds of heroes across the country defending the public.
Who's cooking up a convincing case to win this Top Chef's 150k investment? Gordon Ramsay's future food stars. Watch now on iPlayer. When sending a rude text message, it's important to double check who you're sending it to. Not going out tonight at 9:30 on BBC One. Next, searching for homes under the hammer.